Mark, do you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you see my screen?
Hold on. I'm using double screen, so it might be popping up somewhere else, but hidden. Let's see what's going on here. Let's make this big. I typically do. Hold on. It's probably a me thing. I do.
What do you see?
Class 9 Advanced Excel and Supply Chain LPs. Did I not read the right one? I thought it said Open Class Pack 8.
It said both.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
From last class, we didn't finish Dynamic Array 1,
That's right.
and from this class.
That's right.
Sam Steele, Julian Danziger, do you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Yep, can hear you.
Do you see my screen? If so, what do you see?
I'm seeing the Word document.
Yeah.
Read it.
Class 9, 2/15, 2021.
That's all I want to hear. You've made my day. But you might consider a practical joke that says the final exam is canceled. You're reading, and then just read the totally wrong thing. That's what I would do to my professors. Except Zoom didn't exist in the 1700s. Time to start. We'll begin with Dynamic Array 1, where we left off last class. We were covering the sort worksheet function. So again, the workbook is Dynamic Array 1, spill, sort, sort by, unique. The sheet is 2, sort worksheet function. The given data are in blue-gray. We're not going to include the field titles when we sort with the worksheet function. In F24, we saw last class equals sort of the array. We don't specify which column to sort by, so it defaults to the leftmost column, rep. We don't specify ascending or descending, so it defaults to ascending, alphabetical order. All the Beths, sales rep, then the Bobs, then the Charles, and so forth. F25 contains, actually F24 contains the spilled array worksheet function. The rest of it are dimmed. You can read it, but you cannot delete it. you have to, if you want to delete or edit it, you delete the upper left cell, equals SORT, parentheses. I typed one formula and it populated down and spilled to the right. Since I typed 3 columns, sort B colon D, that is 3 columns, that implies spilling 3 columns to the right. And in this example, I know how far down it's going to spill. If there are, let's see, 84 minus 23, I think there are 61 records from 24 to 84. So there are, before you sort it, after you sort it, it's got the same number of records for this simple function. You know the spill, two columns to the right, a total of 3 columns. And as far down as row 84 as for the original data. Next example, in J24 equals sort B24, D84, comma, comma. I'm defaulting what we sort by, which would be the leftmost column. -1 means sort by the leftmost column, reverse order, -1. So in reverse order, Sue is the last one, Sam, Roberta, Robert, Paula, and so forth. In the next example, sort B24 to D84 by the second column. That is the item, all the A's, B's, C's. I did not tell it how to sort, so it goes to ascending. Sorting by multiple columns using sort is complicated. You might consider the sort by, but we will need to use the sort for multiple columns. In R24 equals sort, parentheses, the array. Look at the balloon, the array. Open curly brace, 2 comma 3, close curly brace. Sort by column 2, ascending from the final argument. 2 and 1 mean column 2 ascending, comma, column, and within column 2, column 3 descending. Column 2 is the item. All the A's at the top, followed by all the B's, followed by all the C's. Within that sort, we sort by column 3, that is the dollar sale, descending, biggest to smallest for the A's. 9,000, 7,600, 7,500, 6,900, 6,700. And this is not testable at the upper right, sorting by the columns. Let me give you a moment. These are new examples. If you see typographical errors, please email me or call me or holler out in class right now, whichever you prefer. Let's go on and work the in-class problems in sheet 4. B10 to E119 has pharmaceutical records. The worksheet function in G10 gives an error. Why? Somebody tell me what's wrong. We didn't cover the sort by yet. I beg your pardon. No wonder you were not able to answer immediately. I was thinking of another time I taught this. Excuse me. Sort by worksheet function 3. Similar, but instead of column numbers, you give it the columns themselves. For example, let's put A25 near the top left of your screen, or A20, so you can read the cell comment that I'm moving right here. We have rep, item, and sales. In E28, sort by, we first give it the array, A28 to C88, comma. We say column B ascending. We don't say 2 for the column number. We give it the column B28 to B88, comma 1, that's ascending, comma C28 to C88, comma -1. So all the item A's, this is a little bit easier than the working it by the sort worksheet function. I want you to compare sheet 3, E28, with the previous sheet 2, R24. In F28, E28, sort by, we give it the full array, A28 through C88, and then a single column, B28 to B88, comma ascending, comma C28 to C88 descending. The next one, I28, sort by A28 to C88, the gray array, A28 to A88 ascending, that's 1. B28 to B88 ascending, that's 1. C28 to C88 -1 descending. Ascending by reps, within rep, item within item, sale. Let's look at these that I selected. Bob, all the C's, and then Bob, all the E's. I'm not too interested in Bob A because that's only 1. Bob B, that's only 1. Bob C, 8,000, 6,000, 5,000. Bob E, 9,000, 5,000. And I don't know why that format is bad. It's not wrong. It's just a different format. This I note is hard to verify. In M28, I asked to sort by A to B, A28 to B88. I don't care to see the sales. I do not have to select every column, A to B. And I want to sort it by a range that's not included in the array to sort. It's correct, but it's hard to verify. Let's work the in-class problems now. Sheet 4, in-class problems. What is wrong with the formula in G10? Sort by B11 to E119, B10 to B10 to B19, comma 1. What's wrong?
The array is incorrect. It should start at B10.
Yes, whatever size this array is, this size must be identical. If I merely change the B11 to B10, it works fine. Now work the second one. Use a worksheet function in G10. I'm going to clear it. Remember, I don't have to clear the whole thing. Just clear the upper left cell. Sort B10 to E119 by drug and brand and cost. One sort with 3 levels. I'll give you 45 seconds to get started. What worksheet function are you going to use? The VLOOKUP? Of course not. It's the sort or the sort by. Which one? Sort by the array. I'll go bottom to top. Control or command, down arrow, shift, up arrow. Sort by B10 to E119. I'm asking you to sort it by drug. So let's just select drug, comma 1. This is a good divide and conquer example. Sort B10 to E119 by column B ascending. That's all I've said so far. Acrobos 100, Acrobos 25, Acrobos 50. That's a funny display. 1 comes before 2 comes before 5. Therefore, 100 comes before 25 in a sort. Counterintuitive, but that's the way computers interpret it. By drug and brand, comma, control down arrow, control shift up arrow, comma 1. Now the Acrobos 100 are at the top. Within the Acrobos 100, all the generics come, and after that, all the precos come. And cost. Control down arrow, shift control up arrow, comma -1. Sort by. The array is B10 to E119. The arguments are B10 to B119, comma 1 ascending, and within that, C10 to C119, comma 1 ascending. Within that, E10 to E119, comma, -1, descending. So all the acarbose 100 milligrams at the top. Within that, generic at the top and then precose. Within acarbose generic, 99, 98, 96, 95. Within acarbose precose, 91, 90, 89, 85.
Larry, I have a question.
Yes.
Why is there a preference to use the sort by instead of the sort in this case?
I don't know that there is a preference. The sort by is more general. For very simple sorts, you can just say equal sort and you don't have to say anything, but the sort by requires you to put something in there. Let me
Okay.
see, multiple columns. I feel this is more intuitive. B, comma 1, let me say column B, 1, column C, 1, column E, -1. The alternative approach is in sheet 2, sort. Look at
Yep.
R24. Think about you have an assistant working for you and he might not understand that. Maybe he's never seen the curly braces. Perhaps many of you have never seen the curly braces. In my personal opinion, sort by for multiple columns is easier.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okie dokie in class. One more minute, then we're going to talk about the unique worksheet function. Let's go on. Sheet 5. I think this is the first time I've ever taught this particular sheet. Pay attention, and if you see any ambiguities, typos, please let me know. The unique worksheet function lets you extract either unique entries or distinct entries. D, distinct, are those with all duplicates removed. For example, if the original data has Bill twice, that's a duplicate. Distinct items would list Bill only once. Fran is listed once only, so we list her once in the distinct. Joan is listed 3 times, we list her once. I'm listed once, we list me once. Sue 3 times, Todd twice. Sue once. I misread that. I read that as Todd. It says, I better slow down. Sue 3 times, Sue once in the distinct. Tom once, Todd once, Tom once, Todd once. Now, I changed this shading to light yellow. Excuse me, from light yellow to light orange. I changed it just today. We don't know how big the spill area is going to be. When you're given a list, I granted in this tiny list, you could figure it out, but in a real problem with thousands, hundreds of thousands of records, you don't know how big the spill range is going to be. Unique, first of all, let's note that it's a table. Open parentheses, table 3 is the name of the table. The name of the field is name, N-A-M-E. Unique, the structured reference style. We're not going to do too much with tables on the test because of the equipment problem I had, or was it the fire alarm? We're not going to do too much with tables. We're not going to do anything with tables on the test, but maybe on the homework. Unique. You give it a column, the name of the table, the name of the field. The name of the field is name. It's entirely equivalent to A16 to A27. This concept unique would be testable without using the table. Comma false. That means I want distinct. The array is table 3 brackets name. By column always defaulted. That would reverse it to the rows by row, which means the columns of the records. We're never going to look at that. Let me point to you what I'm talking about in case you were lost. Back to the sort worksheet function. It is possible for each column to be considered a record. That is so rare, I'm not going to consider it in this course. For example, the first record is Sue B95. Sue sold item B 95,000. The second record is Al sold item D 51,000. The third record is Bob D98, and you can sort them. Sort the columns by row. We're not going to look at that in this course. Not testable in this course. All right, unique of this column, comma false. Exactly once, false. There are two interpretations of the word unique. Let's see it as an example rather than read the definition. Bill appears twice, so he's not listed at all as a unique name because unique means one. The word for one in Spanish is uno. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I think so. The word for one in French is un. If I want a list of all the people who have purchased from us only once, not Bill, he's not only once. Fran is only once, so she's in the unique list. Joan, nope, she's more than once, so she does not appear. Sue, well, I skipped myself. Larry only once, yes, he's listed in the unique. Sue, more than once, she's not listed. Tom and Todd are each listed once. And I note after changing this from yellow to orange, you don't know how big the spill range will be. It might be the orange, the dark orange range. It is, but it might be the entire orange range. Might be bigger. It might be the dark blue range as it is. It might be the entire blue range as it is. Distinct and unique equals unique. I don't know what happens there. You give it the array, comma. I guess I forgot the equal sign. Why don't I start over? Oh my, I messed something up here. I'll catch it in a minute. True return unique columns. I'll default that. Return items that appear exactly once. And I get exactly once. What was in A16, please? Was it Bill?
Yeah, it was Bill.
Thank you. The unique worksheet function. The size of the spill range is usually unknown ahead of time with this worksheet function. We don't know how many distinct names or unique names there are. If I wanted to count the number of names, I want to count the names in a range that I don't know what the range is. It might be the dark orange range. It might be the entire orange range. we use the spill range operator, pronounced hash. Let's see it in an example. I want to extract the distinct names. I also want to count them. In C41, I write equals count I as C16 hash. That means C16 spilled to wherever it is currently spilling. In this case, it is the dark orange range. And the answer is 7. Let me zoom down a little bit. Count as C16 hash, or C16 spill range operator. The spill range operator is the hash sign. The spill range is C16 to C22 currently. But if I change the raw data, the spill range will change accordingly. Let me put Sammy at the bottom of the table. The table expands to include it. Sammy is both a distinct, that is, he appears in the list, so we'll list him. He is unique. Let me again type Sammy, append Sammy. Now Sammy appears twice, typo. Sammy appears twice. So he is not included in column D. That is not unique. He is listed in column D once. He is listed in column C once, distinct, because he appears at least once. Let me give you a moment to review that. I find it very odd that the name of the worksheet function is unique. Literally, the name of the worksheet function is UNIQE, but the default usage is to find distinct names, not to find unique names. If you just type equals unique, it'll return all the distinct names. I wonder if there was a glitch, a bug in Microsoft didn't realize what it was saying. I think I'm correct that the default use of the unique worksheet function is to return distinct names. The default use of the unique is not to return unique names. If you want to discuss that, I'm happy to do so. One more example, and then I'll give you a few minutes. We are a gas station, auto repair shop. These customers have come in the past for this type of service, brake pads, tune-up, oil change, and they spent this much money. To extract all unique or distinct entries, use equals unique of array. By column, you could default that. The records are the rows. Occurs once. By col is the optional. One it's usually omitted. We will always omit it in this course if you want to note that. Occurs once is an optional true false argument. Extracts unique appears only once if you put it as false. True extracts distinct. Distinct is duplicates removed. Unique, DD, distinct duplicates removed. Unique, uno, or in French, un. The size of the spilled output range is unknown. It's a dynamic array. Since it's a worksheet function, the spilled range automatically updates when new customers are added or removed from the original range. In E22, find the unique customers. In E29, find the distinct customers. The people who came only once. Cindy, Grant, and Mary. Marketing might want to try to contact those to get them to come back. Distinct customers. Barbara appears twice, so I list her once. Bill appears 4 times, so I list him once. Cindy appears once, I list her once. In the class pack, when I wrote it, I expected that we would cover the sort and the sort by and the unique last class. So I did not include it in today's outline. Let's go to dynamic array 2 filter. The book is dynamic array 2 filter. And I begin with a sheet from the classic filter capability. Advanced filter or auto filter. Filter in place or extract to another location. Let's look at the filter worksheet function A. I have a number of records, the sales rep field, the customer ID field, the sales $000 field, and the product code field. The first record is in row 8. The last record is in row 268. The worksheet function I use is equals filter of the array. The array. Then comes the include argument, a single argument, but it multiplies terms together. If empty. More on that later. Filter A9 to D268, comma. You will notice these criteria, the include argument, are identical in concept to the criteria for the advanced sum product. Also call the sum product with criteria. Minus minus open. A9 to A268 equals Sue, hard coding for teaching, star minus minus D9 to 268 equals 3000. I want all of Sue's records involving a sale to customer 3000. I highlighted the first one. Actually, I said customer 3000. I meant product code 3000. Sue sold to customer 1005. 936, product 3000. There she is listed first. The second green one is the second record. The third green one, I highlighted the first three. Let's read my notes. A9 to D268, we give it the rectangle as the array to filter. The include argument is minus minus, column A equals Sue. That's a bunch of trues and falses converted to ones and zeros. Star minus minus D9 to do these 268. That's the product code equals 3000. Again, a bunch of trues and falses converted to ones and zeros. The first argument is the range to filter, A to D, the rectangle. The second argument, called the include argument, is the rep Sue? Star is the product 3000. It has a test for each individual record in the range to filter. Record 1. It gives me a 1 or a 0. Is this Sue 3000? It is, so that's a 1. There is a test for the second record. Carla, product 5000. That's a 0. That is not Sue and 3000. The answers are all 0 and 1 and are multiplied together. This is the same wording that I used in the sum product with criteria, or the advanced sum product. The only time you get a 1 is when both tests is 1. All records for which the second argument equals 1 or greater than 1 are copied to the cell containing the fill worksheet function down and to the right. It spills down and to the right. Discussion, we don't know how many sales there are by Sue to customer, 3000. So we include extra space to show all the results. If there is still not enough room to show all the matching record, nothing is shown. Sue might be our best sales rep with 100 sales and there's only room to show 2. It would be terribly misleading and unfair to Sue to show 2 records. So it'll show you nothing. For all of these dynamic array worksheet functions, it'll show you nothing unless there's room to show all of them. Here's an example. Same example, K9. I want to see all of Sue's sales to customer 3000. If I delete this thinking there must be enough room, I'm wrong. There's not enough room. So I'll delete this or copy it and paste it, cut it and paste it. I'll pretend to be surprised. I thought there was enough room. I'll keep deleting, and there's the answer. There was nothing wrong with the formula. The spill error resulted from insufficient room to spill down and to the right. The filter worksheet functions automatically update if the original data change. This is certainly not the case of an advanced filter. The minus minus in front of the Boolean test can be omitted since all arguments are the same size. I haven't talked about that yet. You don't need the minus minus. I use them. The parentheses around the Boolean tests are required unless there's only one. Let me illustrate that. You don't need the minus minus. It works fine. I'm in F9. If I remove the parentheses, I get an error. You need the parentheses around the include arguments unless there's only one. If we got rid of the second argument, so now I have not hit enter. If I'm just asking for all of Sue's records, only one criteria. You don't need the parentheses. I don't feel like remembering that. Furthermore, if you have only one test in the include argument and later you extend it to include another test, you got to go back to put parentheses around the first test. So I always put parentheses and minus minus around my include argument tests. Once again, you don't need the minus minus. You don't need the parentheses if there's only one test, but if there's more than one test, you do need the parentheses. I don't feel like remembering that. I just put that. If the answer is nothing, Microsoft doesn't want it to display empty. So a final argument allows you to say, let's see, filter A9. Let me back up. I'm in P9. Filter A9 to D268. The name is no such rep. Like my name, ridiculously spelled. There are none. So it will display whatever you choose as the final argument. If you default that argument, you'll get an error, a calculation error. Microsoft doesn't want to show a blank if there's nothing there. Comma, quote, no records, quote. Of course, there are no sales representatives named this ridiculous spelling. We're a little bit behind, so we're going to skip filter worksheet function sheet B. Nothing testable in that sheet. Let me give you 1 minute. Now I'll give you a couple of minutes, and then we'll start on filter worksheet function in class. Let's work some problems. The rightmost sheet. We again have records for the name of the sales representative, the ID number for the customer, the amount of the sale in thousands, and the product code. Show all of Carl's sales in the orange sales. Show all of Carl's sales to customer 1298 of at least $500. Don't hard code. Of course, refer to F9, G9, H9. Part of the include argument is greater than or equal to H9. In 60 seconds, I'll call for a volunteer. Equals filter. Of A9 through D268. Give me the first part of the include argument. Just give me the part that says, I only want to see Carl's sales.
Minus, minus, open parentheses,
Yes,
A9 to A268
yes,
equals F9, close parentheses.
yes. Now I'm making an intentional, I'm doing it intentionally a little bit differently. You said minus, minus, which I think should be there. I want to emphasize if you have only one test in the entire include argument, if you have only one, you don't need the parentheses. But this perfectly correct formula, if you go to extend it, you're going to see it's not going to work. You have to include parentheses on the first one. So for that reason, I am going to do as suggested, minus, minus. And that's all of Carl's records. Now I wanted to see all of Carl's records, all of Carl's sales to customer 1298. What do I do next? Star, minus, minus, parentheses, what?
B9 to B268 equals G9, close parentheses.
Yes, indeed. Before I hit enter, my hands are in the air. Before I hit enter, we have many of Carl's sales not to customer 1298, customer 2332, customer 27. Okay, what's wrong? I'm going to click no. I need another close parentheses. So we get 3 records, but that's not complete. Well, it may be complete. It's not complete. I asked for all of Carl's sales to customer 1298 of at least $500. I don't want to look at the middle record. That's only $470. Star, minus, minus. Greater than or equal to. Did I not? I wasn't editing. Star, minus, minus, open. Oh, and I messed up again. I'll need help in a minute, but let me keep going. sales greater than or equal to, let me type a 1. I don't feel like navigating. I've got too many. Go to the upper left corner. I typed greater than or equal to 1 because I didn't feel like navigating. Filter A9 to D268, A9 to D268 equals F9 star. B9 to B268 equals G9 star, C9 to C268 greater than or equal to H9. That's correct. Two records so you can quickly confirm your answer. Filter the A through D. A equals Carl, B equals 1298, C greater than or equal to 500. In class 2, starting in K15, show all of Sue's sales of products 2,000 and also all sales of at least 1,000. It asks you to pass either of multiple tests. One of the tests is A9 to A268 equals K9 star, D9 to D268 equals L9. We add the second test to the first test. So whenever the second test is 1, the record will also be extracted. Plus, ... what is the second test? I'll call for a volunteer shortly. Let me copy from the instructions, Control C. I think that'll remain on the clipboard. Equals filter. Oh, let me stop. First of all, I made a typo. Let me start it with a blank space. Somebody tell me what belongs in C9. I overwrote it when I was by mistake. What belongs?
936.
936?
Correct.
936. Okay, thank you. Notice how I saved what I had by giving it a leading blank. Filter B9. Control down arrow. Control shift up arrow. Comma. Control V. Let's see if I agree with that. Minus minus open. A9 to A268 equals K9, that's Sue, star, minus minus D9 to D268 equals L9. And I need another closed parentheses. So that asks for Sue's records, Sue's sales of product 2000. I have not done the second part yet. Somebody complete what I've done. The first line in my formula bar is correct. The second line, plus, minus, minus. I'm asking for all sales of at least $1,000. What do I do with that?
Select the sales column. And greater than equal to 1,000.
Let me type a 1, pretending I'm flustered. I need a second close parentheses. So that's greater than or equal to 1. I don't want the hard coding, the minimum sales. And I believe that is correct. Tara, triple Sue, Al Sue. Tara, triple Sue, Al Sue. Let me color code part of the answer. The yellow records are Sue's sales of product 2000. That was the first test I asked for. Sue's sales of 2000. The white ones, oh, let me make them orange because Tara was already orange. Tara, Sue, and Al are the additional records that is over $1,000, $1,325, $1,100, $99.99, one of whom happens to be Sue. But that's not Sue of product 2000. That's Sue of product 8,000. We include it because the dollar amount is at least $1,000. Let's go to dynamic array 3. Homework 5 is not assigned yet. So I'm not gonna go through this sheet. Sheet 1. I want to look at an application of the various dynamic array worksheet functions that we've learned. We are, okay, are you with me now? Dynamic array 3, sort, blah, 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 sheet 1. The second sheet, which is labeled sheet 1. We're a consulting firm or a financial advisor firm with a bunch of clients. A12 to A295 lists our clients. A bunch of companies, 3M, AbbVie, AECOM, AES, Aetna. And B12 to B295 lists our customer service representative assigned to each client. So Ann handles 3M, June handles AbbVie, Gail handles AECOM, Bob handles AES, Gail handles these others. We've just gotten new clients. Here they are: Tractor Supply, United Rentals, Kelly Services, Salesforce.com, JP Morgan. We must choose a CSR for each one. 1, the table is given. This lists our clients and our CSRs. 2 equals sort of unique of the table client CSRs, open brackets, our CSR. Because that's a table, you don't have to know that for the exam. Client CSRs is A12 through B, I believe, 295. Sort of unique. Why do I include unique? Look at me carefully when I remove the unique. I have not removed it yet. We have a list of a couple of dozen or so. Let me hit escape. And Bob, they're sorted. But why bother with unique? That's not user-friendly. I removed the unique. And now instead of a range with about 20 names, I have a range with 200 names. In a real problem with 10,000 clients like Merrill Lynch would have, or H&R Block, they would have more than that. The list would stretch across 10,000 rows. So sort of unique of column A. And that says Ann has only 3 clients. Bob has only 4. Dave has 17. Gail has 18. June and Carl has 17 and 18. 1, we start with the data. 2, the spilled array, sort of unique. Only 1 column in the spilled array. A separate spilled array is in E12. Count if, column A, no, column B. Count if the table client CSRs, column B, our CSR, equals D12 splash. Let me remove the half sign. It says count if client CSRs D12. Okay, that's fine. But what if I wanted to extend this formula to whatever spill range is to my left? I don't know if the spill range is going to be D12 through D31 or D12 through D32. So I'm going to put a hashtag, the spill range operator. Count if, column B, D12 spilled down and to the right as far as it goes. D12 spills only down. Please take a moment and use that. Large font, the hash. Change B12 to Rob. There is no Rob. I'm going to change B12, that's Ann. Let me use all caps to Rob. And now, because it's sorted, Rob is inserted right here. Look at what I just turned orange. Rob 1. Let me undo this. 1, table CSRs, that's A and B. 2, the spilled array worksheet functions, sort of unique of column B. 3, COUNTIF using the spill range operator, the hash symbol. Let me give you a moment to convince yourself that that's correct. Now I want to assign employees to these new clients. Let me hide some rows. It might be a little bit easier. Optionally hide rows 35 to 285. As I'll scroll down slowly, there's nothing there. It'll just make it easier to scroll up and down. How do you spell hide? D-E-L-E-T-E? That seems to do it. That's a joke. So I hid row 35 to 285. New clients, append, Tractor Supply, United Rentals, etc. Control C. I will continue to talk about tables even though they're not testable. Look at the size handle at the lower right corner of B295. That's where the table ends. Let me paste the new clients and the table expands automatically. We have, well, I lost my border. That's not a big deal. We have nobody assigned to these last 5 that I just pasted there. Let's look at Ann still has 3. I did not assign anybody. Bob has 4. Vic has 12. But there is a CSR which displays as 0 because the Tractor Supply client has nobody assigned. As soon as I populate these cells that I just turned orange, this funny 0 CSR named 0 who has 0 clients will disappear. All right, let me not consider Sue for the new client. She's already got 18. Tammy has 18. Sam has 18. Paula has 18. Paul has 17. I would like to pull out of this the CSRs who don't have too many clients already. So look what I do. Filter D12 spill range operator. D12. I don't know how big this is. In a little while after I assign some people to here, this spill range is going to change. So I say equals filter of D12 spill range operator, comma, E12 spill range less than or equal to H288, 7. I want to see all the CSRs with no more than 7 clients. 7 is right here. My syntax is filter D12 as far down as it goes, comma, E12 as far down as it goes, less than or equal to 288. And that will produce Ann, Bob, Jeff, Olivia, and Opal. It's hard to confirm that because of the hidden rows, but that is correct. Let me give you a few minutes to review that. Let me comment on what happens in E289 if you do not use the spill range operator. If I just said filter D12, that's a single cell, E12 less than or equal to 7, I would get Ann. Because I'd get the first one only, but I don't want to filter D12. I want to filter D12 spill range. That's an error because this is inconsistent with this size. I need filter D12 hash, comma, E12 hash less than or equal to 7. And there are all of my CSRs, the real ones. Ann has 3, Bob has 4, Jeff has 6, Olivia has 3, Opal has 3. And this person empty has none. Along with this list in column B is these not yet supplied CSR names. Here's my thinking. What's the smallest number you see there, top to bottom? 3. Ann. So let's assign Ann to the first new rep, typo. Now Ann has 4. I want to undo and redo. I just typed Ann right here. Undo. Nobody is there. And Ann has 3. 3, remember 3. As soon as I type Ann for the first new client, now Ann has 4. Now let's repeat the process. What's the smallest number you see, top to bottom? I see a 4 and a 4 and a 6 and a 3. Olivia. Let's give Olivia to United Rentals. Olivia. I have not hit enter yet. Olivia still has 3. Enter it. Now Olivia has 4. Let's do the whole thing again. Looking for the smallest number, top to bottom. 4, 4, 6, 4, 3. Opal could use a little extra work. So we'll give Opal to Kelly Services. Let's do it all again. 4, 4, 6, 4, 4. This 0 doesn't count. The empty guy, that's Salesforce.com and JP Morgan Chase. There's not really anybody called 0, named 0 with a count of 0. So what's the smallest number you see? Salesforce, I just did Ann, I guess. And now the smallest number I see top to bottom is Bob. And I'm done. Notice in particular what disappeared right here. Let me undo and call your attention. A sales rep named Zero, who has 0 clients, was in the list. That's referring to the bottom right corner, referring to B300. Let me redo it. I type Bob there, and now there is nobody named Zero. These were notes to what I should do for you in class. Before I give you a few minutes, let me review. Pay attention, please. I'm going to publish a paper on this, and I'd like to know if there's any other problems that could be solved using this type of approach. I use a generic approach. We have a bunch of clients, and our CSRs, our employee, the customer service representative for these companies. This is sort of unique of the table. Let's take out the sort. You don't really need it. Ann, June, Gail, Bob, Sam, Oscar, Liz, up to Larry, up to Sue, down to Carl, up to T, down to K, down to D. It's a little more convenient to see sort of it. Let's take out unique. That's very unfriendly. I don't want to look at a list that goes down screen after screen after screen after screen after screen. Remember, I hid some rows. I would be looking at a list of nearly 295 entries, 295 minus 11, 284. I don't want to look at that. So I say, let me see the unique records from the table client CSRs from the column our CSR. That's basically A12 colon B 295, something like that. So that's the first thing I do. Then I count if. I do not want to count only D12. Let me remove the spill range operator. That's correct, but I want it all the way down, and I don't feel like typing it all the way down. So I'm going to put the hashtag, meaning don't just count if equal to D12, but equal to all the cells in the range D12 spilled. D12 spills down this far. And if I change my mind about the CSRs, sort of unique updates accordingly. Here's an image of what I started with. I've appended, I gave Ann a couple of people. I gave Bob one. I then had these new clients, optionally hide the rows, control down arrow. So I pasted A 296 to 300, and I used E289 spill range to identify good employees to serve as the CSR for these new clients. I would recommend that you close this file, not save it, open it again if you can do that. Or I could send it to you again. So you could do it all again from scratch. I guess you could undo a bunch of times, but that doesn't always work. I find the new capability. Now, none of this existed to the general public more than about a year ago. And it still doesn't exist unless you pay monthly fee for Office 365. The sort worksheet function, the unique worksheet function. We did not use the filter worksheet function. Yeah, we did. In E289, I filtered out, so I don't want to look at a lengthy list like this. I don't want to see Dave. He's not under consideration for more work. He's already vastly unfairly worked when Bob has only 5 and Ann has only 5. I didn't want to see Dave or Gail. I don't want to see June or Carl or Carly or Katie or Larry or Liz, but I do want to see Olivia. I wanted to see only the people who were eligible, meaning that they don't have much to do. They're not currently handling too many clients. And I use the filter. So this is a nice example that illustrates the sort, the unique, and the filter. If anyone can think of another problem, like you've identified, you're an investment firm, you're mutual funds, your clients are employees who ask you to manage their retirement portfolio, and you've just identified some brand new companies in South Korea, in Japan, in China, and you want to identify a team leader to assign to study this brand new company. Is it any good, or should we not waste our time on it? There might be other criteria. When I decided that Ann goes with Tractor Supply, I didn't consider Ann's background. Is she an engineer? Is she an artist? Does she have any common work experience in Tractor Supply? They manufacture parts. If you can think of anything that would help me, I'd appreciate it. An email or a cell phone call, whatever. Let me give you a few more minutes. So today we reviewed and almost finished the dynamic array worksheet functions. We saw the filter, actually we saw the unique and the sort by. The filter updates in real time. The filter can't do anything that the filter worksheet function has the same capability as the classic filter advanced in place or to a separate location, but the filter updates automatically. The classic filter technique does not. Let's look at the aggregate worksheet function. I have you for another 5 minutes. I'd like to give you an overview of what I'll be starting next class with. You don't necessarily have to open this. Aggregate worksheet function. Sheet 1. I have a bunch of sales reps with misspellings. Al sold $6,342. The more senior reps get bigger percentage commissions. I want to know Al's dollar commission. So the dollar commission is the dollar sale, C16, times VLOOKUP of B16, VLOOKUP of Al in this gray range, second column, exact match. Everything's fine except I have an error in D delta 18 because there's no such rep. He is misspelled. He should be spelled with one L. Almost all Excel worksheet functions doing numerical calculations return an error if there's any error in the range being referenced. For example, I cannot add up all these cells. I cannot take the max, I cannot take the min, I cannot take the average because there is an error. In a large example where you had 200,000 records, you might almost always have an error. So I'd like the capability to ignore errors. The aggregate worksheet function will let us do that. And I haven't covered it yet. Numerical functions, hidden rows. Again, these reps, these dollar sales, these commissions. The sum is 30,000. The max is 4,000. The min is 126. If you hide the rows, I missed one. The classic worksheet functions include the hidden rows, but I might like to ignore the hidden rows, and the aggregate worksheet function will let me do that. Next class, I will discuss the aggregate worksheet function in more detail. Let me see, homework is normally due on Wednesday. I'll grant a routine extension because I did not finish the sort by until just now, till today's class. Look for an email telling you when homework set 4 is due. It will be due about a day or two later, about a day later than Wednesday. In other words, probably be due Thursday, but let's see, make sure I get enough progress with the next section. Okay, I hope you're appreciating the power of this. I don't think there's more than 20 people in Nashville other than you people whom I just taught who can use these worksheet functions, the sort by, the unique, the filter. Charlie, you're smiling. You're agreeing or disagreeing?
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
I figured you'd agree, at least until you graduate.
Yeah.
All right, sometimes I'm prone to exaggeration, but I think this is commonly unknown. I talked to a guy at Deloitte, a senior guy, who was identifying Excel topics for me to teach, and he did not know much at all about these new dynamic array worksheet functions. As Bugs Bunny used to say, that's all, folks. I'm going to stay around in case there are questions. Jack Donahue, are you there?